The auto industry cannot catch a break. It's a line I've heard from more than one auto industry executive. We don't build cars just to meet regulations. In other words, the car-making game is all about great products at competitive prices, not simply tailoring everything to meet some government's ever-shifting safety and emissions rules. Reader, that's a lie. In reality, the car industry is one of the most heavily regulated ones on Earth, and the rules dictate everything from how your next car will be shaped to how clean it will be. The car companies get tight little boxes to operate in, and they spend years and billions of dollars in capital trying to make profitable cars that can also meet all those rules. But 6 months into the Trump administration, those rules, ones that the auto industry in America has been operating under for years, and in some cases decades, are out the window now. And what happens next is anybody's guess. A look at this chaotic situation kicks off this Monday edition of Critical Materials, our morning roundup of industry and technology news. Stellantis gets a steep tariff bill, and questions arise about how Huawei-powered cars are being sold in China. Everything is weird. 2023 Volkswagen ID4 exterior rear view inside Chattanooga factory. I'll summarize this situation as succinctly as I can. Here in the United States, tariffs are in. Electric vehicle tax credits are out or will be on September 30th anyway. Penalties that pushed for more fuel-efficient engines are dead, and the global supply chains are still unpredictable. The Trump administration has sought to radically reshore car production in America, gas car production, specifically while rolling back fuel economy rules, emissions regulations, and policies driving EV growth. Basically, this wasn't the plan for the auto industry in America. It spent years gearing up for a more electric and electrified future under the Biden administration, and decades of ever stricter fuel economy and emissions rules before that, including locally made EVs and U.S. battery plants. And the tariffs mean that no car company is entirely sure where to build cars now, let alone how to price them. Here is automotive news with more. To put it plainly, vehicle product planners are trying to steer through a bumpy ride. The next 4+ years will be the most uncertain and volatile time in product strategy ever. Bank of America analysts wrote in their annual Car Wars study in June. By the time EV and trade policy become clearer, the auto industry probably will have lost as much as 18 months of planning, said Michael Robinet, Vice President of Forecast Strategy at SP Global Mobility. There has been a colossal effort to just reduce exposure and try to control what you can control, Robinet said. Companies are all trying to plan day to day and have very little, if any, long-term focus on where technology, efficiency, and all those factors that we used to invest a lot of time and energy in end up. Automotive News puts together an annual look at the next few years of product strategies for each car company. Plans always shift, but in 2025, creating a roadmap is an especially unenviable job. Arguably the worst part for car makers is that the world's biggest car markets, including the USA, Europe, China, the rest of Asia, and so on, are all moving at different speeds now toward the technologies of the future. So is the play gas, hybrid, or electric? Actually, it's all of the above. Different segments of the market will demand a variety of powertrains, so the investment is going to have to be made everywhere, said Sam Fiorani, Vice President of Global Vehicle Forecasting at AutoForecast Solutions. Some of that money is going to be spent prematurely, and some of that money is going to be spent too late, but everybody is going to have to spend it. If you can't even handicap what's going to happen day to day, because it feels like these decisions aren't tied to macroeconomic fundamentals, but to some negotiation that you're not a part of, you go from being a participant in the economy to a hostage. Dan Hirsch, global co-leader of the automotive and industrial practice at Alex Partners, said, "You're just watching people negotiate with your life. That's the situation that we're finding ourselves in, waiting to see what these different governments do. I can't tell you where this nets out long term, but in the immediate term, new car affordability is probably going out the window." Source, reposted and summarized from Patrick George at insideevs.